What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the most recent physique update from the reigning Arnold champion Derek Lunsford, trying to put more volume on his chest. As we know, there was a weak shot on him, especially when he first switched over to the men's open. But now he has filled out that area pretty damn well, and up to a degree that it doesn't look out of proportion. Because if we go back and look at some of the prep videos and the pictures of Derek Lunsford from this past Arnold, Ohio, he had some detail and separation on his chest and shoulders, which was never seen on him before. Now the story at the Pittsburgh Pro, that was altogether a different one, and he knows he was off in that show. And honestly, he got very lucky to come out on top and beat the mutant Nick Walker. So he can definitely put on more volume, more thickness in the chest and the shoulders area. It's only gonna help him, especially against guys like Hadi Choopan and the mutant. Now another critique that Derek receives a lot, that is about his abs. But who else out there believes that Derek actually has a great set of abs? It's a full 8-pack, and those are clearly defined abs, with over 10 weeks to go till the Olympia. And that just goes to show us that the man is pretty much on target. Now this time again, it's a high likelihood that we won't see Derek walk in 100% ready at 4 weeks out of Mr. Olympia, like the way he did last year. And that just did not go in his favor, because he lost so much volume and size, especially on his lower half. And compared to that, his Arnold, Ohio prep, where he was only ready on the day of the show, his legs were looking absolutely full blown. And maybe you guys also remember how people were saying that Derek isn't gonna be ready when he was about 3 weeks out from this year's Arnold, judging by his look, because he wasn't looking ready. But that strategy worked wonderfully in his favor, as he was able to keep all that volume, all that size on his legs, and he was able to beat the reigning Olympia champion Samson Dauda. Because the thing is, him keeping all the pop, all the volume on the quads, that is gonna be the biggest factor on whether or not he fights for the Olympia title this year. So we are watching that same scenario, as he is now 10 weeks out, looking full blown, big as a house, all round and 3D. And all we wanna see is whether or not he can peak perfectly for the third time and the final time this year. Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. Next up, we have a 10 weeks out physique update from HorseMD, the guy who is gonna be making his classic physique Olympia debut. Something that none of us expected up until like 8 weeks back, because we all saw HorseMD turning into a great men's open bodybuilder, especially last year at the Big Man Weekend, where he placed a very close second behind Akeem Williams, and he was able to beat multiple former Olympians like Andrea Presti, and also some great bodybuilders like Emir, who is one of the most ripped guys in the entire men's open right now. But honestly, can we even blame him for making a decision that is only gonna add to his life? As HorseMD said, that being healthy and athletic, that is the goal now, and longevity is now the priority. We know open bodybuilding is way more dangerous when it comes to the numbers that these guys have to push, especially in terms of the food and the PEDs, in order to pack on more size and more muscle. And HorseMD actually did pack on a lot of size from the Arnold 2023 to Big Man Weekend last year. Now it doesn't really matter whether it was a controversial win for HorseMD in Portugal in Classic. Fact of the matter is, he did win his first pro show, that too his first Classic show, and now the man is well on his way to make his Olympia debut in October. So there are literally zero chances of him placing in the top 10 at the Olympia this year. He probably won't even place, as he doesn't have the most classic look. He's missing a very big body part, his back. But his mission for 2025, that has already been accomplished, and that was to step on the Olympia stage. We do however want to see HorseMD and how his physique looks, with an additional of 5 pounds on that frame, because that is how much room he has before he hits that weight cap. A rare sighting of the guy who was originally named as the Beast, Roly Winkler, hitting a most muscular shot the very first time since his retirement from competitive bodybuilding, and that was back in 2021 as the Olympia that year. That was his final bodybuilding competition. So both him and William Bonac have been going on a lot of tours and training together more frequently. And with Roly Winkler back on the juice, he probably could have made a run for this year's Masters Olympia. The fact of the matter is, the prize money is simply not worth the risk. And secondly, Roly did not retire on his own terms. It was a shoulder injury that was hindering his training, especially in the last couple of years of his competitive career. And you could easily notice his physique was gradually going down. But that being said, great to see him out there moving some serious weights, as he still is a very popular bodybuilding figure who could have potentially won the Olympia if he showed up looking exactly the same in 2019 as he did the previous year, because other than Big Ramy, there wasn't a bigger guy and more muscular guy in the men's open at that time. That being said, it was really unfortunate that Roly was so inconsistent with the shows that he did, especially in terms of the peak. Other than 2018, he was never really 100%. So he prepped in the O2 gyms all throughout his career. And those guys mostly focused on bringing Roly bigger and more freakier, with less attention to conditioning and the detail. So is there a more consistent guy than John Dwet when it comes to nailing that perfect peak on the day of the show? Well, he's certainly right up there, and he did not get enough credit on his placing at Tampa Pro because he placed lower than expected, and that was fourth to be more precise. Now, based on his Olympia placing, John should have been the favorite to win this show, and just because he was standing next to a guy like Quinton Beastwood and also Jordan Hutchinson for most part of the show, and both of them have prettier and more aesthetic shape, and they're also pretty damn massive, John was unable to stand out. Now, John did pack on a lot of muscle on his frame, especially in the last couple of years, and he looks harder and drier in this 3 days out update. I guess the only way he beats either Quinton or Jordan is if he outconditions both of them. And don't get me wrong, he has the ability to do that. But the fact is, both these other guys, they need to miss their mark in terms of conditioning. So John has no missing body parts. Back is a lot better than Quinton's back. But it is also gonna come down to what the judges prefer. So last year, he did not have an ideal placing in his first show, which was Toronto Pro, but he did end up winning Vancouver Pro just a couple of weeks later. So it's gonna be interesting to see how John shows up for this year's Texas Pro. So Oben Rocksman was probably the biggest freak in the 212 lineup, both in Dubai Pro and Tampa Pro. But Texas Pro is gonna mark a new chapter for him, as this time he has decided to go for the men's open bodybuilding. So Oben, about 10 pounds heavier than the 212 weight limit. That is gonna be very interesting to see. And that is the case right now in these recent pictures. And the man is looking harder and drier. So why suck down just to make the weight cut off? And in doing that, lose a lot of his pop and fullness, not to mention some hard-earned muscle. So I think he's gonna look absolutely phenomenal without the weight limit, because he is going to be all round and full this time. So Oben has some of the craziest looking muscle bellies in that 212 class, but he somehow needs to hide the difference in the size of his quads between his left and right leg. That is one of the biggest reasons he did not get the nod from the judges, both at Dubai Pro and Tampa Pro. Now we know the men's open lineup at Texas Pro, that is gonna be very deep and an awesome one. So we cannot expect Oben to place top 5, but he might look way better compared to his Tampa Pro look when he was competing in the 212. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.